American. The African American doesn't think. The African American doesn't have their own spiritual ideology. The African American doesn't train his kids themselves. The African American doesn't build their own cars. The African American doesn't build their own houses. The African American doesn't get his own food. The African American doesn't make his own clothes. The African American doesn't make his own toothpaste. The African American doesn't do anything but ask, what you got for me, boss? That's how you know they're not made of nature. They are a creation of another man.
You basically turned a man into a dog.
Well, that's like my sainted mum used to say. Get them young enough, and the possibilities are endless.
All these other ideologies that we are transfixed on, they come from the other side of the world, where all of those immigrants, where they done tore up where they live, they come over here and try to get your inheritance, and you, being a dumbass on purpose, because many of you know who play that African role, because we see how you take the information that we put out and try to put it into what you're doing. It won't work, dude. It won't work. You're a Hebrew Israelite, and you're trying to put the indigenous people into the Hebrew narrative. It won't work. You're just going to cause more confusion. You can't take the indigenous paradigm here and mix it into the Moorish paradigm. All you're going to do is cause confusion, which is what you're doing. You can't take the indigenous people here and try to mix them up with an African paradigm. It won't work. And this is what you do.
What's up, YouTube? This is something that's been on my heart for a long time. And, you know, all I ever wanted to be in life was a super...
Moorbrewgyptian.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You know, during that time of meditation and just thinking about it, I realized something. All of that is possible and more. It's all in here. It's all in your mind. Think about anything that you ever tried to do. You thought to yourself, man, I could never do that. But then when you practiced it, guess what? You got better at it and you actually achieved it, didn't you? It's the same thing when you look at superpowers. Of course, it sounds absurd when you first look at it, but if you try it, you know, if you actually set your mind to it and believe, you can achieve it. I feel like anything that you set your mind to, your mind will, your mind can create that force, because your mind is just this powerful machine that is, whatever you set it to and you believe and you work towards achieving it, you can do it. You can do it, and I believe I can be a Super Saiyan.
Moorbrewgyptian.
First time exposing this side of me to the world, and I know a lot of y'all laughing, but people who really, that are on my level of intellect, they understand what I'm saying, and thank y'all for understanding, and, I'm going to attempt to go Super
Moorbrewgyptian.
And I'm going to upload it to YouTube.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
This is my first attempt. Now I'm believing, and I'm going to create that energy and channel through my mind. I'm going to turn the music on. All right.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
He's over here. Look out!
Can we get out of here?
No, I'm enjoying this.
My name is Jalen, and I am a super.
Moorbrewgyptian.
Well, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
Now, question, you were saying something about your teacher said that we were all Indians, or you Indian?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We were learning about Wampanoags, and Wampanoags are Indian too. They had feathers on their heads just like you did.
Okay, so they didn't tell you anything about being from Africa or anything. This school was teaching that you was an Indian, and...
Well, they teach us more different things.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they taught us like we were Indians too.
Oh, okay.
But it was rude to say Indians because it was disrespectful to them. So we call us African Americans.
Okay.
But it was rude to say Indians because it was disrespectful to them. So we call us African Americans.
Okay.
But it was rude to say Indians because it was disrespectful to them. So we call us African Americans.
Oh, okay. But you know for a fact that they told you that you were the original Indians?
Yep.
Oh, okay. And tell me your name again?
We're from the 3rd, and I go to Haley Elementary School located in Boston.
All right.
Halberton.
I learned a lot about Carlton and his culture. So, I can put it down like this. I'm a Powhatan, I'm a Eastwood-led Indian and original All-American. My skin color is tan, man. You can say it's brown and just look at my head, one side shaved down. Look at me now, my body marked up, red paint on my face, no clothes on my butt. What? Nah, tan skin cover up, my boat on my side. I let the arrow glide. I'm a hunter, a farmer, a fisherman. Everything that I need, I get from the land. I make my own clothes, my own weapons too. When you see the moccasins, then I'm stepping through. I'm a Powhatan, I'm a Powhatan, I'm a Powhatan, I'm a Eastwood-led Indian and original American. I'm ruling everything. That's right. Call me the big chief. Powhatan, everybody else is beneath. All the villages, each and every tribe. I make the laws, I control if you live or die. The chiefs under me, they collect the tax. Animals scan beans while I just relax. Collecting deer and turkey, put them in the temple. Powhatan government is just that simple. I'm a Powhatan, 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 I'm a Eastwood-land Indian. Let me break it down so you understand. Man, I was very young. That's right. When I took my spouse, she cooked my meals, we built my longhouse. From jewelry to pottery, we got art. True. Even kids do it big. Yeah, we work hard, but we play too. That's right. Games just like you. Like wrestling, foot race. Yeah. We pretty musical. We like to sing and dance, party and clap our hands. Celebrating life, I'm like a power tan.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even kneeling to that flag, like, I have no African descendant in my blood. I'm a Native American. So, literally, I'm a Cherokee, I'm a Blackfoot, I'm a Red-tailed Indian. That's what's in my blood. And the other is mixed with European. And for somebody to say and tell me not to kneel, you crazy. Like, y'all crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people in America is indigenous people. You're not from Africa. But that's a whole nother conversation. Like, that's crazy, man. For you to tell somebody, like, yo, stand up to this flag. Nigga, you know what this flag does? That's like he's like, yo, accept crack in your neighborhood. Like, what? Nigga, you know what this crack did to our neighborhood? Like, how could you accept that? That's crazy. In all due respect to every race, niggas know black people don't crack. Like, black don't crack.
Yeah, black don't crack. That was
it rhymes.
Yeah, what's it inconsistent?
Well, indigenous don't crack. The natives don't crack.
The natives.
Well, indigenous don't crack. The natives don't crack.
The natives don't
crack. You can
crack.
say a native and he could be 90 years old and still look like he's 50. I'm talking for the natives.
Yeah.
I like when
it comes to talking about African Americans, I have no education with that. Period. I don't. I'm not even connecting to that no more because that's a system. That's like connecting and say, hey, he's a bad guy. You don't hang with him. Oh, hey, I'm gonna find out for myself. I'm not African American at all. My folks is not from Africa, and a lot of people in this room, folks ain't from Africa. Might be a couple, but people just don't understand. I asked my grandma, like, yo, grandma, what's your background? She like, Redfoot and Black-tailed Indian. What? Yeah, my mother and my father did. We 100% Indians. Ask my other grandma, we got Cherokee in us, and European and Italian, a little Dominican. It's crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? That's why I'm over Africa. Y'all look at me funny, like, nigga, I'm African. Like, you're not though. Like, you're not. 80% of slaves was already here. It was natives. It's crazy.
80. Where you get that number from?
Shit, I just checked the books.
Which book?
Yeah.
I got a whole laptop full of this shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, just for me reading. It's not a solid book like, hey, there's only 1,000 slaves came here. And nah, nigga, you got to read. You have to literally read. Like, I'm so deep into it, I don't think about a slave ship. I think about, what was a slave ship called? Jesus. What the fuck was a slave ship called that Christopher Columbus was on? Who funded that slave ship? Who paid for that boat? Like, what was these folks' race? Like, what was their background?
Mike, you want to come? You want to come?
So, Waka, that's interesting. So,
why? It's like a why. It's not like I'm chastising. It's like, why?
No, but it's interesting because when it comes to, you're addressing identity, right?
So you're familiar with that boat, right?
I'm not familiar with the boat exactly that you're referencing, but I am.
The slave boat, the first slave boat.
Oh, yeah, the slave boat. Yeah, for sure.
So who paid for the slave boat?
That was from the Europeans in terms of
the
colonization.
What was their ethnicity?
There was Germans. There was individuals.
What was their ethnicity that paid for that boat? That built that boat and that voiced that boat. And
who are the people who built the boat or who paid for the boat to be built?
It's in the books. It's just it's in the books. I'm not going to say shit because
we got to specify which boat.
Yeah,
and from which part of the country.
Columbus was on. The boat that y'all celebrated Columbus Day.
It's called Jesus of Lubeck.
Yeah, and who the Spanish
King Henry.
But we gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it like that. Like, trust me, it's deep. It's deep, bro.
But the question I have for you in regards to identity, then, some blacks don't want to be called African Americans. Some report to call as black. So with you saying you're not African American, you're more of the indigenous. Your grandmother and your grandparents from the Native American tribes. Do you address yourself as Native American? Do you address yourself as black? Do you address yourself as African American?
I'm other.
So you're other.
I'm uneducated. I'm uneducated. So for me to sit here like a college professor or professor, I'm wrong. I'm uneducated. I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? But I'm damn sure not black. You're not gonna call me black. My grandmother's not Crayola. Like,
so
no,
then,
I'm connected to a tribe. I'm from a tribe, not a country. It's a big difference. Different laws, different everything. Like, big difference.
So ask your mother, ask your grandmother, if your great grandmother's still with us, and a lot of us are, ask her who her grandmother was. And she's going to tell you she's an Indian woman.